Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Annassa. So happy to be here with you. So let's start with a meditation. And this morning, let's just do the Om sound with each of the chakras as we work our way into a meditative space. So take your attention inside, all the way down to where your aura meets the earth. And let's do Om together. And if you run out of air, just make the sound longer. Just continue the sound. So we're going to start with each chakra, and I'll tell you when we move up. So take your attention to where the earth, where our energetic body meets the earth, the garden star chakra. Take a deep breath in, put your attention in that arena and hold it there. Allow your attention to rise to the energy center in your sex chakra. Hold your attention there and take a deep breath in. Allow your attention to rise to the energy center below your belly button. Hold your attention there and take a deep breath in. Take your attention to the energy center at the solar plexus, just below the front of your rib cage. Breathe into that center. Hold your attention there. Gently allow your attention to rise to the heart center in the middle of your chest. Hold your attention there as you breathe in. Gently take your attention to your throat center. Hold your attention there as you breathe in. Allow your attention to rise to your third eye, above and between your eyebrows, in the center of your head. Breathe into that space. Allow your attention to rise to the top of your head. Feel the 1,000-petal lotus opening to the sun. Take your attention there as you inhale. Now take your attention to the place where your fingertips would touch if you made a halo around your own head. Take your attention there and hold it as you breathe in. Now feel the energy coming from the bottom of your energetic center, where your field touches the earth, through your central channel, out the top of your head in a 360-degree radius, gathering at the bottom and coming back up. And of course, it goes both directions at the same time, but just pick one to focus on and see if you can regulate your breath with the movement of the energy. And we'll just practice that in silence for a few minutes. As you're ready, bring your attention back. And we'll begin to be present to take your questions. Thank you so much for being here today. How may we serve? So, if there are no questions, we'll just start talking a little bit about our experience. So, things are, as usual, internally changing. And the information is this: we really do create our own reality. We really do. And so it's in understanding this, it's important to know that where we put our attention and how we think about things inside of ourselves, we can't exactly think about things. We can think about things that are happening outside of ourselves, but we can't really. Anyway, as we focus our attention, it's important to be aware of what it is we are requesting from the universe, because every thought is a request, not just to the universe, but to the multiverse. And the more intensity we have behind that request, the more likely, and the more often we do it, the more likely it is to become an integral part of our experience. So if we are focusing on the things that are obstructing us and limiting our power, our personal power of expression, if we are focusing on the negativity, then that is what will grow. So if we are cultivating frustration and anger and disharmony within ourselves, then this is what we will reap. It is our inner garden. And so what grows is what we plant. So it's very important that we, first of all, create an intention for our lives that we can actually live in. So if we create an intention to be aligned with the highest, why not reach for the moon? Why not reach for the stars with our intention? It doesn't matter exactly where we are now. What matters is our intention, because there is no time except what's happening now. So if we change our intention and we just say into our own hearts, I am in perfect alignment with the divine, or with God, or with the goddess, or whatever word you want to give. You can say, I am in perfect alignment with my own life purpose. That can be your request. And you want to be sure that this request is not aimed at something outside of you. We are all taught from a very young age that God is outside, somewhere out there. So we pray out there, and it's not out there, it's in here. It's in here. So we direct our attention deeply, deeply inside. I am in perfect alignment, because what we say in the deepest part of ourselves is the truth. So as we declare the truth of our being, that is what we become. If we put it in the future tense, I will be aligned. Well, someday, maybe, but it has to happen now. It has to be now oriented. I am that. And then we will become that because we are declaring ourselves to be that. And so our job is to align ourselves with that statement. And all kinds of things will happen. Our sense of unworthiness will immediately leap up to overtake and overwhelm this declaration. And so, what do we do with that? We invite it to be present. Say, okay, this is my work to clear this energy from my field. It's like pulling the weeds out of the garden. And so we look for that. We're grateful because we're seeing the weeds. We can't pull the weeds we can't see. So we set our intention, and then the weeds naturally appear. So we allow ourselves to feel the dissonance, the parts of us that don't believe I am in perfect alignment, I am in perfect union. And we invite those to come into our presence. These are our inner demons. And so we invite them. And you know, there's a Buddhist practice called chud practice where you feed the demons yourself, your body. You feed them whatever they need to become a part of you in alignment with your highest best. And so when we say Ho'oponopono, I love you, thank you, and I'm sorry, in whatever order, we say it to these weeds within our inner being. And we begin to dissolve them and create the alignment which allows us to truly inhabit our lives and to begin to create within us the life that we really want to live, the life that we are born to live, the life that we have denied ourselves by not aligning with our highest. So we begin to embrace that life that is there for all of us. It's not 1 in 3 million, it's not 1 in 10 million, it's not 1 in 15 million. It's every single human being on this planet is capable of alignment. And the reason everybody's not doing it is because people figured out very early on that with things like fear, they could control other people and have power. And so what we are doing when we cultivate our own alignment is we are cultivating our personal power. And personal power is not power to do things to promote ourselves in front of other people. Personal power is to become a complete human being in yourself. And when that happens, there is no need for anybody else's anything because you automatically attract everything that serves that alignment because you are cultivating that alignment in every breath. You are allowing your thoughts to inform you of your disharmonies. And as you see those disharmonies, after a certain point, of clearing the field, you will be grateful. As the second you see a disharmony, you will be going, thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. And you will be dissipating the disharmony of generation upon generation upon generation upon generation of the people who came before us, whose cells we shared in our creation. And so we came in with all these patterns that will show themselves to us as we sit under our own Bodhi tree, cultivating our deepest inner, and our inner demons appear to be fulfilled so that we may become harmonious. So this is what's being revealed. We welcome your questions. This is not a different message. It's just a little bit more refined articulation of it. It's not really anything we haven't said before. Brenda? Well, you guys are quiet this morning. So how is it out there? What's happening for you? I hope this means that everybody's deeply at peace and harmony. And that's why we're all quiet. Yes, Suzanne, please talk to us. Okay, I'm not hearing you. Can you turn your volume up?
That's not her volume, it's ours. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Whoops.
You're good.
Oh no, she's off.
Okay, now unmute yourself again, Suzanne. You were fine.
Okay, can you
Yep.
hear me now?
Yes. Yes, I can hear
All
you.
right, good, I'm here. Thank you for the comments. I found those very helpful. Yes, very, very. Let's see. There's in my notes for another time, sort of how do we open up a space inside for new knowing? This is in terms of being closer in alignment, being recognizing what my own path is. Path isn't the word I want, but I'll use that right now. How can I be more open to more recognition of what that knowing is?
Well, the first thing is to pay attention to these energy centers within your being. Most of us, so let me repeat the question. How do we cultivate this alignment and the information that comes about how to become deeper in alignment? Are you having trouble hearing, Suzanne? So can you guys hear? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Nobody can hear. When you can hear, tell me.
Can you speak for a minute?
Yes. So I'm speaking, but I'm just speaking about nothing while we work on the sound because I can't really concentrate until you can hear me. Okay, now you can hear me. Good. Thank you. So the question is this: how do we cultivate our alignment? We think that's it, Suzanne, and the information that comes from it. Okay. So the thing is that it really is important to cultivate each one of these energy centers, because the reason to cultivate our energy centers is that each one has a different set of information for us about who we are and what needs to happen in that energetic center for us to be whole and in alignment. So the most important thing we can cultivate as we work in these energetic centers, the most important thing we can cultivate is the experience of allowing. So allowing is known in other traditions as surrender. We find surrender to be a difficult word because it's a military word and it has all kinds of connotations about giving things up. Whereas allowing is just letting yourself relax into a space, which is really what creates the opening for us to receive information. Now, most of us were taught from a very early age that the only information worth paying attention to is the stuff between our ears. And when we have all our attention there all the time, that's the only information we're getting. And that is not being a total human being. We have to feel into our connection to the earth and where our dreams are cultivated to really have a big impact on drawing them close to us. We have to be living in our entire energetic being, which doesn't mean that we're failing if we're not doing this now, because in a way, we're all doing it now. We're just not doing it consciously. It's not that these things don't exist for us, it's that they're not part of our field of awareness that we're cultivating every day. And it's not our fault, it's our culture's fault, because this is information that for whatever reason, in this period of human life, most people don't have access to this information. So this is not the conversation that we really need to have with you, because you do have access. So the conversation we need to have with you is how to utilize this access so that you can really allow your energy centers to come alive and inform you about what alignment feels like. Now, we are very kinetic in our experience of energy. So when we talk about it as a feeling sense, because that's Rebecca's primary access point. That's not true for everybody. There are lots of access points, and it has to do with the alignment of our individual sensory perception that determines how we experience the information that we are cultivating through our system. And this is why there are many spiritual teachers out there. And the thing to be understood about spiritual teachers is that everyone is going to be different, because everyone is going to have a different combination of divine and unworked personality in their being, every single one of them. So if you only know that piece of information, you can go anywhere and take energetically from a person and benefit. So that was a sidetrack we didn't exactly intend to go on.
That sidetrack was very helpful to me.
Okay, you're welcome. She said that sidetrack is very helpful. So, yes, we don't pretend to be the only source of information. We are one of many, 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 many. And the most important thing is to find a place where you feel you can work. And when you have that, when you have confidence in the information you're receiving and your ability to begin to integrate it so that you can feel into these different energy centers and reap the rewards of the information that is stored there for you to become truly in alignment. And the way you know is that you just keep practicing and your experience will change. It will change every day. We have a different meditation every single day. And every single time we breathe through the system during the day, different information becomes available. And always there is this allowing that happens. And believe me, there are many times that information rises up in terms of emotional feeling that we would rather not have every day. But we learn to welcome all of it because this is our self, our deepest self coming alive. And of course, as these parts of us begin to come alive, the first thing they're going to do is complain very loudly. And so we might feel angry or depressed or frustrated or, all of these things. They're going to come and flow through our system on a regular basis, no matter what. It's not about levels. And this is not a linear process. One energy center is going to open and then another one's going to close and then another one's going to open and then, there are patterns to it, but those patterns are beyond our control. And so we do what we can control. And the only thing we can really control is our attention. This is our main thing, is that we can put our attention on these energetic centers and request that they begin to interact with us and inform us about what alignment feels like to us. And we can assume that if we're not feeling good, we're not in alignment. That is a safe assumption. And so when we don't feel good in ourselves, that is the time to sit down and get very, very quiet. And the first thing we do when we sit down in disharmony, and we will forget this, this is like something you put on your refrigerator. You say, everything that's not mine, leave. And you can say please because you're talking to your highest self. So you say, everything that's not mine, please leave. And then you hold your hands out a few inches from your body and you let all that stuff just drain out your fingertips before you have another thought. You do that. And very often, that will be enough to allow an experience of some kind of equilibrium. So then you can start taking your attention into the energy centers and breathing into those centers, because breath is really important. And the reason we do the Om sound is the Om sound is the center of the source of all of the all that is. And so that is a really good source of alignment that we can cultivate just by holding that frequency. And that's what happens when we make the sound, is we are holding the frequency of Om and inviting the highest creative power of the universe. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Okay, we are inviting the highest creative power of the universe to come into us and inform us about alignment. And of course, the first information that we're going to get is how we're not in alignment. And that is most often quite painful. And it's generally emotionally painful. So we cultivate the spirit in ourselves of allowing emotional pain, because we understand that this is the doorway to a deeper understanding of who and what we really are. And so the first thing we're going to run into is all the experiences that we had where we decided inside ourselves, I'm never going to feel that again. And so we shut a door. And so when we feel deeply into these energetic centers, the first thing that happens is these doors begin to open. And when the door opens, what comes out is our pain. And so we want to shut the door again, because nobody wants to be in pain. Let's see, 90% of people don't want to be in pain. But anyway, when you experience that pain, it's important to say, thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. And what you're really saying is, I'm sorry I shut the door. Let's open it again and allow the flow of information to begin to inform our deepest parts of ourselves, so that they become available and the energy can flow through our time and space now in our being, because it is our capacity to allow that energy to inform us that takes us deeper within ourselves. And then we begin to learn about balance and alignment and flow within ourselves, which are things that we can't really talk about until these energy centers begin to open and move. So really our attention has to be on getting this all going. And once it's all going, then we will have a different conversation. But in many, many ways, it's the same conversation. It's always about alignment and flow. And what happens as we get better and better at alignment and flow is that our field of influence begins to expand. That's what happens. It's not that, enlightenment is just a word. It's not a goal, because there's always more. So who's to say that we've reached the height of there's always more? So we need to never forget that there's always more. And if somebody's not telling us that, then we say, excuse me, I'm not in the right place. And we look for somebody who understands that there is always more, that this is a creative process. And yes, it has cycles of birth and destruction and rebirth and all of these things, but these things don't have any meaning until the experience itself of our own process becomes familiar to us, so that we are a living, growing human being in contact with our energetic mechanism as much as it has revealed itself to us in this moment, ever cultivating greater awareness of this inner process, this inner life, which is the source of everything that we experience outside us. If we try to change things outside us, it's just moving the furniture in the room. It's not changing where that furniture came from. And so if we want to upgrade our inner space, we have to allow all the negativity to fall out, so that when we take a deep breath, something different is beginning to happen in us, and the information that we are given has real relevance in terms of how we move forward in our inner work. We hope that answers your question, Suzanne. How may we serve further? So we're kind of noticing that as the summer goes on, the number of people who come on our call is less. And that's okay, but we're going to ask you to invite your friends, because we think this message has a lot of value. And if you have value for it, we encourage you to talk to other people about it, because we want to spread this message. We think it's important. And so we'll just say that. How may we serve further? That being said, we'll be here no matter what. Even if there's nobody here, we'll do it, because it's important to our flow to keep it going, no matter who comes or doesn't. And we never, ever feel bad about somebody not coming, or, we really don't exactly notice the personalities, because it's the message that's important. We appreciate every single one of you, and we feel you and your depth of commitment to your inner. And we completely, completely love and admire this, because this is not easy work. It's not easy, but it is completely valuable. And the benefits, the cost benefit analysis is ridiculous. The benefit is like enormous, and what it costs is So just take your attention inside whenever you think of it, and it will grow. It's like, think of your attention as like watering a plant, and your plant is your energetic mechanism. And every time you take your attention in there, you are watering your energetic mechanism so it will grow and live and flow and unwind and completely introduce you to a miraculous level of inner experience that you can't even imagine is possible at this moment. No matter where you are or have been inside yourself, this is available and there is always more. How may we serve further? Brenda? Andrew?
Can you, you're talking so much appropriately about focusing on the highest possible aspects of ourselves or goals or whatever, and which I do as a practice. But there is also tape loops that I've come in with, or from childhood, of whatever, negative. I'm undeserving, or I get it, but I'll lose it, that kind of thing. And can you talk about, when you're doing this other work and this tape loops are playing, what's a good strategy?
Well, so the question is this: when you're working inside yourself on alignment and the old tape loops of unworthiness and disappointment and self rejection, they're generally always a way of self rejecting. Well, this never worked before, so it's not going to work now. These kind of these messages that were deeply integrated into us very often from experiences that we didn't even have in this lifetime. So these are the most difficult ones, the ones that keep recurring no matter how many decades of work we've done. And these in a way, it's important to make friends with them. And the way we make friends with them is we say, "Oh, you again." And you give it a hug and kiss and let it go. You just reach deeper underneath it. "Oh, you again." This is just a pattern that we have not allowed to leave. So you just give it a hug and a kiss and you say, "Oh, there you are again. I see you." And if it doesn't go away, then we take Ho'oponopono and we actually address it and try to go deeper that way. But very often, that pattern has already lost a lot of its resilience because we have been addressing it for a long time. And so we can just say, "Oh, hello. I know you're there. Thank you for letting me know that you're still around." And it will just dissipate. It'll just be gone because you no longer have energy in that pattern. You no longer really believe that you are unworthy because it's your experience that there's lots and lots of flow in your life and that everything that you need or have cultivated or have wanted is really in process and already growing. And it's just this thought that hasn't let go yet. And so you just let go every time it comes up. You just allow it to pass through. It's when we grab it and make it a part of ourselves and bless it. Oh, yes, I truly am unworthy. I have to undo that. I am completely worthy. You don't allow that to take hold in you. You just say, I am completely worthy. And you make it true. What we believe is what will manifest in our lives. And so it's very important that we examine our matrix of belief. And especially with these old patterns, that we just pull the energy out of them. And we can even say the opposite. And that's called affirmation. And affirmation, when we don't believe it, doesn't work, because we don't believe it and we know we don't believe it. But when we really have felt through the pattern in ourselves over and over and over, and we really have released it, and it's just a recurring thought, then we can just allow it to pass through. So, this is a bit tricky, but we know by how we feel inside ourselves. We know the truth when we experience it. And so it teaches us to be very, very honest with our own experience. The most important place for us to be honest is in our relationship with our deepest self. It's this place in our heart of hearts, in the center of our chest, that is where we must be honest. And as we cultivate this honesty, the truth will emerge, because truth is a felt experience. It's a visceral experience. Now, as we said earlier on, for Rebecca, it's a visceral experience. For you, it may be a light experience. It may be a sound experience. It can be any sensory experience that is primary for you. But we all recognize truth. And when you understand what your experience of truth feels like, then you honor that. And you look for that, you cultivate that in yourself. And when you cultivate truth in yourself, when we stop denying our misery and start allowing it so that we can begin to dissolve it, this is when these energy centers start to wake up and really begin to move and inform us about our purpose and alignment, and how that experience is available to us. And because each one of us is completely unique, how we experience it will be unique. There are a lot of themes that we share, especially in the beginning. There are a lot of difficult self-rejections to embrace, to love ourselves through, to be grateful for having access to them, and to be grateful to have the love within ourselves to offer, to give these demons what they need to be fulfilled, so that they can begin to come alive as an energy source for us. See, our energy is all tangled up in these patterns that don't serve us, patterns of self-rejection. And so that when we understand that as we resolve these patterns of self-rejection, that energy becomes available as a bigger flow within us, which will of necessity make us bigger people, bigger and better. Those are not exactly the right words. The words are more sensitive, more deeply informed as to purpose, and more available within our own lives to ourselves, first of all, and then to the lives that our life is connected to. Because when we upgrade any part of ourselves in terms of alignment with the highest, it naturally affects every life that touches ours. And as we sit in the center of that possibility and water that possibility with our attention, nurture it, nourish it with our attention and our desire to live from a state of complete fulfillment in ourselves, around ourselves, and in flow, harmonious flow with everyone we interact with, as we begin to become more and more of that, to entertain more and more of that as our being and as our alignment, then our life really changes. Our life experience really changes. And that change happens from the inside out. It is very rare that a life experience that happens from the outside in has any lasting impact. Think about the last time you got something you really wanted. How long did you feel complete with that experience? There you go. Think about anything inner, nourishing that happened for you. How long has that experience lasted? It keeps calling you back for more, because there is always more. And so, yes, there are moments where there is a sense of completion in this moment, a sense of fulfillment in this moment. These things happen as we access more and more of our wellspring of inner nourishment. As we become that more and more inside ourselves, then there is a sense of fulfillment that arises in a certain way that gives us peace. And we understand that real peace inside ourselves is a possibility. Now, most of us have these minds that just keep going no matter what, of their own accord. No matter what, where, when, how. It just goes and 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 goes. Rebecca definitely has one of those. And so it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. You just let it go. And you begin to not take it so seriously. When you understand that it's just its nature to okay. So you just take a deep breath into someplace lower in your body. If you keep breathing and keep your attention up here, it's just going to get more and more, and it might get really cranked up and just, start driving. So even thinking that thought, we take a deep breath and go deeper in ourselves, because that is the antidote to this. You just take a deep breath way deep in yourself, all the way down to the ground, and you take your attention there and you allow your being to quiet. And you just feel for that quiet. And sometimes we end up cultivating that quiet just because we can't stand the noise of the mind. And when we get that, then we have a choice. And we'll still find ourselves off to the races some of the time. Still happens. And there can be joy in that. Oh, look at where I went. That's pretty funny. So you just rein it in, take a deep breath, start over. Love is very forgiving. And the first person that we need to be compassionate toward is ourselves. And that's the real answer, Andrew. The first person we need to be compassionate towards is ourselves. And when we see these endless loops, just recognize it as an endless loop. It's okay. You can be there as much as you want. Just don't give it any energy.
It seems sometimes that it's well, using the parallel of cranial osteopathy, where you go in the direction of the strain pattern rather than dismissing it or resisting it, and actually say, like, if one feels worthless, to actually go, just allow it to go completely there,
Mm-hmm.
and in the stillness you can actually
Yes,
access
there's
the
a
all of it is, which creates all the patterns, including negative ones. I mean, in other words,
yes,
it's everything.
absolutely. And so what Andrew is saying is very important. There is an osteopathic principle that whenever you meet a disharmonious pattern, the thing to do is, when you meet it in another person, the thing to do is get very still in yourself. And then you hold that stillness around the disharmonious pattern and you contain it. And you just hold that disharmonious pattern and you compress it in a certain way. It's not really like you grab it and try to do something to it. You just do a very gentle compression on that pattern. And that's like saying, okay, I'm worthless. I'm going to allow myself to be intensely worthless as I can imagine. And you just allow that to become an atomic bomb in you. That's what it feels like as it coalesces into this pattern, and it gets kind of more and more dense, and then it suddenly stops. It gets very, very still. So you have this dense and still place. And from this place arises everything that is. And so you just hold, you will want to run. In that moment, you will want to do anything but be in that place. And you just hold to it. You just hold to that compression. And then it will change. You'll feel it reorganize. And you just hold to it. You have no idea. And this is the most difficult part, because this is the experience of uncertainty that we run into in the midst of any change. There will be chaos. And so as you feel that chaos of reorganization, you know because we're telling you, and over time you know from your experience, that that moment or that time of chaos in the midst of stillness is our own creative resource reorganizing to make a higher, more refined pattern. We don't like the word higher. We'll just say more refined, less dense pattern. And so as this chaos reforms into a new pattern, suddenly there will be a release and an expansion. And then the flow of the energetic system within the body will reassert itself, but in a much healthier way than it was before. And so this is the osteopathic way of dealing with disharmony. So we'll go through that again just one more time so that you have some experience of what that process is. So you notice a disharmony, a pattern of worthlessness within you that you've carried through lifetimes. It's always been there. No matter where you go, how much you expand, you always come back to this sense of unworthy. I am not worthy of becoming more. And then you say, whenever you notice that, you say, of course I'm worthy. You undo that pattern with you. But if you discover that that doesn't undo it, then you take that pattern deeply into yourself. Okay, I'm unworthy. I am the most unworthy possible. You just allow yourself to intensify that sense to its deepest, deepest culmination within you. You just allow it to be, and you intensify your awareness of that unworthiness. You hold your attention in that place. It will become very still. You hold longer. You just hold. Then it will become chaotic in your being. It will be like the inside of a golf ball becoming alive. All those things are just moving. And you just hold. It will be very intense. It'll make you want to run away. You just hold. Then it will begin to reorganize. And as it reorganizes, you will feel it have a different rhythm inside you. And then it will expand and begin to express its health in the context of this flow of each energetic center. Of course, this will be happening in a particular energetic center. Usually it's your heart or your navel, could be in your throat, could be in one of the upper energy centers. It will generally present itself in an energy center, and you just hold your attention there until it feels healthy. There will be a flow reestablished that is better than what was there before the sense of unworthiness appeared. Andrew, does that help at all? You're right. That's what we're saying. You're absolutely right. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes.
The world is a mess, and I am questioning the possibility of fifth dimension reality.
Well, that's all fine and true, but it's not going to get you out of the mess. The only thing that's going to get you out of the mess is to do what we've been talking about, focusing on your inner work. And if you can get to fifth dimensional reality, that's the most important thing. That is the most important thing that we can do in this moment to create fifth dimensional reality for the whole. Is we are responsible to create it inside ourselves. And that's the best, highest thing we can do with our attention in any moment. Now, we also understand and we have the experience that for most of us, it's not possible to do inner work 24/7 or desirable. We would go completely crazy. And plenty of people have done that. And that's fine. Sometimes that craziness leads to enlightenment. There's a whole practice called crazy wisdom. And, but for most of us, we can only work for, maybe an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening. And that's plenty. That is really, really good. And then whenever we find ourselves kerfuffled during the day, if we sit down and, reestablish some flow, however long that takes, that's also really good. But, an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening is dedication, and that's fine. And if you can't do that, 20 minutes is fine. You work up to, you work on your capacity to work. And over time, excuse us, that pattern will increase, that pattern of work will increase our access until we're really working far more than that. But in the beginning, it's fine, morning and evening. And the best times to meditate are the changes of the light, or whenever we wake up, and definitely before we go to sleep. So the world is a mess. Questioning fifth dimensional reality. We hope we answered the question. We're willing to, look at it again. Yes.
Next question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know we're tight on time here, but I
Mhm.
will get this in. I know that insomnia is a very broad subject with many possible causes. But are there a few simple things you can say about this experience that could help? That can help.
So this is a question about insomnia. And so Rebecca has had a lifetime of insomnia that only recently has changed. So this isn't something that I want to recommend globally. So I would encourage this person to have a private session at some point, and I'll share various solutions that I've tried that worked. But I don't want to do a global recommendation for something that worked personally when I don't know everyone's situation, and I'm quite certain that there are different answers for different people. I am a physician, so I know lots of those answers, and I've been through many of them. And I also know that there is not a one-size-fits-all solution. So I can't answer this question except in a personal way. I will say that sleep is really, really important. And so it's an important thing to address. It's a legitimate question, and that is the best way that I can offer, that we can offer for solution, is that this is really a private conversation and a personal issue. And although we each run into situations of insomnia, the answer is very personalized for for each of us, having a lot of experience with this particular realm of difficulty for many of us. So we appreciate the question and the opportunity to say that sleep is foundational to health, and health is foundational to inner work. And we'll say even more than that, we'll say that it's important how you eat, the choices you make about the foods that go into your body, about the toxins you are exposed to in your environment, because these things all impact our density and our energetic awareness. Many, many toxins will shut down our capacity for energetic awareness. And so it's not that we're against toxins, it's that they make our lives more difficult. So for that reason, we try to keep away as many of them as we possibly can. We know we live in a toxic world, we accept that, and we do our best to purify is the word that's coming to mind, but there's always a balance between flexibility and rigidity in how we relate to these issues. And it has to do with how much room we have in our own body to make errors. And that has everything to do with our state of health in the moment. And that physical health is really important so that we can do our spiritual work. So we'll leave it at that for now. We know that's an incomplete answer, but that's all we can say for now. And we appreciate your asking the question because it's very important. So now we're going to move into our open eye meditation. And so this is we do it open eye so that we make our energy more accessible to you if you are interested in that kind of transmission and if it's effective for you. And if it's not, we encourage you to take in the energy in whatever way is appealing for you, whatever works for you. So we're going to be quiet and we will continue inside ourselves the Om meditation that we started with in the morning, but we'll just do it silently and invite you to participate as well as we focus on the energetic channels and begin to broadcast. So thank you very much for being here today. We love being with you. So we'll go into meditation now. Thank you so much for being here today. We have so enjoyed being with you. Mm. We love you so much. Bye for now.